proud Canadians. We want our sovereignty. We have to earn it. And that was one of those moments, and it will cost, no question.
Does Trump have his eyes on Alberta? Welcome back to Moose and Loose. My name's David. Today we have numerous reactions to Mark Carney's speech in Davos coming from premiers across Canada. Mark Carney meeting with premiers. We had a weird one with Danielle Smith and David Eby. Now there's this idea going around that Donald Trump is just trying to nab Alberta and leave the rest of Canada as it be. Let's jump into this. Starting this one off, we've got the Conservative motion here for the Sovereignty Act was defeated. This was expected to happen. Of course, Mark Carney's not going to vote for this because, well, this isn't his net zero agenda. Pierre Poilievre off to his leadership review in Alberta, and here he is, a man of the people, not flying first class, but coach with everyone else. As Mario says, he's sitting with the boots, not suits. Moving ahead, we have 87% of rejected fake asylum claimants are still in Canada since 2020. What a wonderful statistic. You can see here, rejected decisions, 7,000, 12,000, yada, yada. 2025, 10,000 people still in Canada, 9,954. They only got rid of 405 of these goons. This is the Liberals' record right here. Completely inept. System doesn't work. They allow these people in and they're not kicking them out. With that, somewhat related here, we've got the Spanish government giving 500,000 illegal migrants the right to vote. They explicitly say this is to defeat the far right. Coming from a publication here, Spain gives 500,000 migrants legal status to defeat the far right. Applicants will be allowed to work in any sector to help curb institutional R-word that only fuels exploitation and R-word hatred. This is wild. As a headline in a publication, this is not a conspiracy theory anymore, is it? All these leftist leaders are importing people to defeat right-wing politicians. So moving ahead here, we've got Danielle Smith and David Eby and Mark Carney all meeting. Nothing came of this, though.
I would say that the Premier and Prime Minister and I talked about the aspects of the MOU, and there's many aspects in there where we have a lot of common ground.
A lot of common ground, but they didn't come to anything.
How close are you to an agreement with Alberta on a new pipeline?
Well, we had a great discussion with the Prime Minister in there. Alberta is an important trading partner of British Columbia's. We talked about a number of different issues of common interest: hydrogen, electrolyte tie, of course, pipeline projects. Alberta has committed to keeping us posted on their work as they try to identify a proponent for their project. And a big part of the conversation was about Western Canada's role in the Canadian economy and how we're driving it forward. So I'm sure we'll find common ground there and look forward to seeing what Alberta comes up with.
What are your red lines for the pipeline?
It's interesting. Ever since Mark Carney came back from China, he's changed his tune. He's saying that we trade the most with Alberta. We got common ground, yada, yada, yada. I don't know, maybe just a bit of a coincidence, but I mean, David Eby's got his advisor here, Ding Guo, who is connected to the Canada-China Business Council. He also led the Canada Committee 100 Society in Vancouver. Did Mark Carney come back from China with orders from Xi Jinping and now David Eby's falling in line? I don't know. We also have Anita Nan. She lays out 5 plans here for Canada: building a network of northern operational hubs, acquiring early warning aircraft, getting a fleet of tactical helicopters, building satellite ground station in the Arctic, and planning to get 12 submarines. We don't need to hear her voice today. We also got this. Keir Starmer pushing back against Mark Carney. His speech in Davos says, "No new world order, please. We're British." UK leader says he's British pragmatist, applying common sense after Canadian counterpart called for mid-sized countries to team up in the era of Trump. He's getting snubbed by Keir Starmer. This is embarrassing. We got Francois Philippe Champagne here asked about this.
Starmer has rejected Carney's Davos speech. What is your reaction to that?
I would say the Prime Minister said out loud what a lot of people thought privately, well, I can't speak for him, but I would say
Keir Starmer said out loud what other people were thinking. This is very weird because they're all so woke and wrapped in together, and it's almost like Keir Starmer saying Canada's too woke now.
The vision that he presented is one that resonated, and I can tell you Canada is really a country where people look up now for investments, for our values resonate, and certainly we're happy to work with all our partners.
So Keir Starmer is over in China right now doing the whole Xi Jinping thing himself. He's going to an election soon, I believe, so that's probably why he's trying to rally some troops, because his numbers are so awful. Meanwhile, we've got David Eby here on CBC, everyone giving their takes here on Mark Carney's speech. Listen to his words here. I've got a couple clips of him. This is the reason why we're in such bad shape in Canada. These guys are not leaders.
I think that every Canadian that saw the Prime Minister's remarkable speech in Switzerland, and I found it very inspiring and patriotic, and I was really proud of being a Canadian in that moment.
He looked like he saw a ghost there.
I think everyone who saw it was like, man, we're going to feel consequences from the Americans on this, but it had to be said. And
no, it didn't have to be said. Why would we have Canadians lose their jobs just for ego? That makes no sense whatsoever. We should get a deal, suck it up, and then diversify our trade. And then Canadians don't have to suffer. You got boneheads like this that are ruining Canadian lives. They don't care because it's not their job on the line.
I wonder what your thoughts are on the criticism leveled at the Prime Minister that this is poking the bear, that this is antagonizing your biggest trading partner with a volatile leader at a critical time. Do you think it was a mistake in Davos? So you like the speech, but was it strategically the right move, do you think?
It was absolutely the right move. It is crucial that we're taking a leadership role among mid-sized countries, assembling people together, pulling them together, building that coalition of the willing to be able to do the work together, to carve out our own place in this world. If we don't do that work, then we'll have our agenda dictated to us by power and strength that comes from military or market size. And so
it's not going to be from military, and we're not selling our oil at maximum price. Americans are getting a steal on that. We should be building a pipeline immediately. This guy knows it. Just listen, he admits it at the end here. He knows he's part of the problem here.
So we're proud Canadians. We want our sovereignty. We have to earn it. And that was one of those moments, and it will cost, no question. But at the end of the day, the generations that came before us paid a huge cost for us to be where we are. And maybe this is our time.
It will cost us, no question. He knows that.
So we'll do our part. The Prime Minister's got to be out there building new partnerships with India, with China, with other countries, and diversifying. Impossible to replace the American market. This is a sensitive thing, but we also have to speak our truth as Canadians, and I support the Prime Minister in that.
Impossible to replace the American market. He knows full well what he's doing here. We need a pipeline to Tidewater immediately, and he's letting an activist group from America, Tides Foundation, George Soros, big money, funding coastal First Nations, not a real First Nation band, block our pipeline and our prosperity so the Americans are better off. What's the angle here? Is it just strictly off carbon credits? David Eby's knee deep in this. He knows, he just admitted, he knows that we need a pipeline and he's blocking it. Well, now he's changed his tune. Is that because Carney just went over to China? I don't know. There's a whole bunch of moving pieces here. He just admitted he knows that he's blocking Canadian prosperity. And the other thing on the table now is Donald Trump trying to flip Alberta. I've mentioned that there's two possibilities here. Donald Trump calling Carney governor and all this kind of stuff as part of negotiation for CUSMA, or he could be working with Carney based on all the ties with Brookfield, Jared Kushner, Mark Carney, Bruce Flatt, all of that. Well, there's a third option here. Donald Trump tries to flip Alberta to be part of America. He gets all the oil, he gets all the conservatives, and none of the left wokist bullcrap from Canada. If Alberta flips, then so will Saskatchewan. Then there'll never be another conservative government in Canada ever again, and a lot of the wealth will disappear.
Mark, tell us more about Scott Bessent's remarks.
He was on CNBC this morning, Andrew, and it's clear from his remarks that there's still some hard feelings about the remarks that the Prime Minister made during the World Economic Forum in Davos, where he called on middle powers like Canada to unite against larger powers like the United States. It's clear on Scott Bessent's part that there's probably some hard feelings still about Canada rolling back tariffs, those tit-for-tat tariff rollbacks with China. We saw the Prime Minister lay out 100% tariffs, or threaten them anyway, against Canada, forcing our federal government to say that this was not a free trade agreement. And it's clear that there's probably a little bit of gamesmanship and a little bit of tough talk, too, ahead of these upcoming CUSMA negotiations. Scott Bessent, the U.S. Trade Secretary, or Treasury Secretary, rather, on CNBC this morning, saying that he insists that the Prime Minister rolled back what he said about President Trump in that phone call. He says he was on the call and he heard it himself. He had some harsh words for the Prime Minister as well. Have a listen.
So I would just encourage Prime Minister Carney to do what he thinks is best for the Canadian people, not his own virtue signaling.
So you heard it there. A technocrat says that he's virtue signaling. But at another part of the interview, he does say that if things go according to plan, he does think that all three parties, Canada, the U.S., and Mexico, could end up in a good place once the deal is done.
But he said, don't pick a fight.
He did.
With Donald Trump. Mark Carney says he didn't walk back those comments, but, that goes back and forth.
Carney clearly picking a fight because he needs it for the election. Now, the question is, where's Donald Trump positioning on here? Is it helping Carney? Is it negotiation? Or is it to get Alberta? It's one of these three things now.
Comments from Bessent recently regarding the push for separatism in Alberta have also got a fair amount of attention from Canadians. What can you tell us about that?
Yeah, it was, we're talking, this happened last Friday, but it's sort of come back to the fore again because of Scott Bessent's words telling the Prime Minister not to pick a fight ahead of CUSMA negotiations. But many are saying that perhaps the U.S. itself is kind of poking the bear a little bit here. Last Friday on America's Real Voice, Scott Bessent did an interview in which he seemed to welcome the Alberta separatist movement to potentially join the U.S.
Well, look, Alberta is a wealth of natural resources, but they won't let them build a pipeline to the Pacific. I think we should let them come down into the U.S., and Alberta is a natural partner for the U.S. They have great resources. The Albertans are very independent people.
So think of that what you will. You're entitled to an opinion, but many people sort of turned off by that. This also comes, of course, after.
I don't know about Albertans. They don't want to join America as much as just be an independent country on their own. The only thing they'd really get from America is, well, the military, more defense. If Alberta just operated as its own country, they'd have more than enough money for everything, aside from being able to build a big military.
After some representatives of the Alberta separatist movement were in D.C. meeting with officials at the White House quite recently.
Yeah, that's been going on for quite some time now. What is the advantage to Canadians and the upcoming negotiations but doing all this provoking political theater? I'm almost convinced we are sabotaging any real chance of a free trade deal with the U.S. That's exactly it. Carney doesn't care about our country. I keep saying it. It's all about his political agenda. He just wants to get control of our country, milk our country dry, and boost his Brookfield Global Transition Fund 1 carried interest. He's going to walk away with $500 million, and he will not care about the state our country's in. I mean, look at Justin Trudeau, same thing. He's off on a yacht with Katy Perry. He doesn't care that he destroyed our country. He still needs to be charged for his crimes against us. SNC-Lavalin, Emergencies Act, get him in a court and try him. The fact that Scott Bessent here is talking about Alberta joining America, it means that he's talking to Trump or Trump is talking to them about this. This is something they're seriously thinking about. They can get more voters, more money, more oil. They provide the defense. Alberta would have to set up as one of the other states where they have their own police force, their own tax system, all that kind of stuff. I have a feeling this is going to become a regular talking point amongst Trump and his allies in his government here. I was in business for 30 years with the same clients. If I talked to them the way Carney talked to the USA, I would have lost all future and possibly current contracts. All monies would have been withheld and bankrupt overnight. Is Carney that stupid, woke fool? The other thing to think about is if Alberta separates, they would succumb to the same problem they have now, which is getting product to Tidewater. They'd probably have to keep selling oil cheap to America and cut in a massive part of the profits for the oil going through TMX. Now, if you added Alberta plus BC and Saskatchewan, then you would have a seriously powerful country. Get rid of all the woke crap. Unfortunately, there's a bunch of woke crap where, well, I live around here on Vancouver Island as well as Victoria, Vancouver. Alberta by itself still landlocked. It would have some of the same problems it has now, minus the Ottawa bureaucrats. Moving ahead, we got Scott Moe being asked about Mark Carney's New World Order. He was sitting right next to Carney when he said it. I'm surprised Vasi asked this question.
You were sitting, I think, just a couple of people away from, maybe even right next to him. At one point, kind of remarked about how, the progress we have made, he said, in the partnership with China, as he referenced in that meeting, with the highest levels of the Chinese Communist Party, sets us up well for the New World Order. Did you agree with that assessment?
That's not a statement I would use. But in saying, because it's interpreted in many different ways by many different people. However, I would say this: when you look at the trade flux, the uncertainty that we have in that those trading relationships around the world, including China, including the U.S., including we have tariffs from India that are on Canadian products right now. There very much is a change in how trade relationships, trade agreements are coming together, and I explained that earlier with respect to the broader multi-sector trade agreements are maybe not be entirely a thing of the past, but may not be as achievable as they were just a few years ago.
Do you reject the idea, to be clear to Canadians watching now, of a so-called New World Order that China is leading?
That New World Order is not in any way something that I would have used in that term. I believe there's another opportunity for us as Canadians to engage from a trade perspective, as opposed to getting into broader discussions about who is the superpower when it comes to leading the world, whether it be in governance systems or what that might be.
Scott Moe's not a part of the New World Order, the inner circle, Mark Carney's little scheme he's running there. He has no idea what New World Order is, which is a good thing. We don't need politicians wrapped up in that Davos WF nonsense. We've also got Tim Houston here commenting on Mark Carney's Davos speech.
I was impressed by the speech, and I was proud of the speech. And I think some of the things that are happening and some of the things we're seeing said as a result of that are proving that the speech was necessary, to be honest. But there, I say my job is often whack-a-mole. Like you try to push something down and it pops up somewhere else. And certainly the prime minister's job is that times. So we understand that, but I think the points he made in Davos were absolutely true, and they needed to be said. But we can acknowledge the reality and still work towards a better place, and that's what we're trying to do as a country.
Tim Houston, another weak leader. Just because you can say something doesn't mean you should say something. If there's an axe wielder running at you, you shouldn't insult the guy. You should try to talk him down so he doesn't swing the axe at you. In the case of Donald Trump, it's obvious he goes off. If you poke the bear, we shouldn't be poking the bear. We should be offering the bear a steak or some chocolate or something tasty, get a deal. Then we can go out and get some more trade partners, build a pipeline to the coast. This is all political theater here. Carney just wants his majority. He doesn't care how many lives he destroys in his wrath of destruction. This is getting so much attention. Look at this. Roger Stone, this guy here, is New York Times bestselling author and Trump loyalist. Remind me how many times Canadian weakling Mark Carney was on Epstein's Island. Was it 3 or 4 times? What do you think he was doing there? Here's his Wikipedia page. I mean, American right-wing political activist, consultant, lobbyist, prominent consultant and lobbyist within the New Right, and Donald Trump's longest-serving political advisor. The fact you've got guys like this posting this stuff on X now, and this is going all over America. And as far as I know, sticking to the facts, I don't have any evidence of Mark Carney going to Epstein Island. I did check through all of the flight logs, and I did not find his name on there. And the first thing I knew somebody would post here is Donald Trump with Jeffrey here, and well, it's all over the place. I mean, I went through a whole bunch of these files. Mark Carney isn't in any of the ones that have been released. We got Trump here with Ghislaine Maxwell, and somebody posting them down here, Mark Carney with Ghislaine Maxwell. So this was at a festival at Mark Carney's sister-in-law's ex-husband, his land. They used to have festivals there. Going back to this section on my chart here, so that would be Tanya Rotherwick's ex-husband, Robin Caesar III, Lord Rotherwick. It's his land here. I believe it's this Cornbury estate of his where they hold those festivals, and that's where that is. And if you haven't seen this, Tanya Rotherwick is sisters with Diana Fox Carney, and both of them here are named in Jeffrey Epstein's little black book. Tanya Rotherwick, Robin Rotherwick, which is this guy here, and then you got Diana here, and then there's 2 other numbers, which I would assume is Mark Carney, but I don't know. Home and work, 2 for Diana, 2 for this unnamed one. But looking into all this, I haven't seen any flight logs of Carney going to the island. Now, we do have a new clip here from Trump talking about auto plants with Mexico and Canada.
Yeah. I'm curious what your plan is if the Supreme Court rules negatively on your tariffs. You talk about the tariffs.
We'll have to find another.
Is there a plan B?
Yeah, the tariffs have been indispensable towards success. We've taken in $600 billion in tariffs.
So Trump answered that really quickly with a, do you have a plan B? Yeah, I don't think he has a plan B. But we'll see. We'll see if he has a plan B, if he needs the plan B. But if the Supreme Court rules against his tariffs, there's going to be an absolute crap show in America because he's going to have to give back the money that's already been dished out.
The farmers, $12 billion last week. I took them out of tariff money. It's kept the unfair competition out of our country. Now, they can build their auto plant here, but they can't build a plant in some place with, labor costs for a penny and then sell it into this country and then charge people a lot of money for a car. So the only way they can do that, they have to build the plants here. So the big auto companies from Germany, from Mexico, from Canada, Mexico and Canada are literally their plants are closing down. They're moving into this country. So we have more activity than we've ever had.
We're going to see how this all plays out long term here. Does Trump's plan work? He's not wrong, which is precisely why the Chinese autos are on the way. Part of the appeal of buying a domestic, I'm a Ford F-150 owner, is that I am helping support my fellow Canadian. It doesn't seem so appealing to buy a Ford, GM, or Stellantis vehicle now. I mean, that's the truth of it. I've got a 2009 Honda CR-V, which was built in Canada. Those CR-Vs are some of the most reliable vehicles. They just go and go and go and go and go. So with all that in mind, we've got this one from the Toronto Star of all places. We got CBC Watcher posting this. Lucy Hargreaves nails it, but there's a growing tendency to treat antagonism towards Washington as a substitute for sovereignty. Publicity needling the U.S. or provoking its president is increasingly framed as proof of strength or moral superiority. Those who question this approach are often mistreated as naive at best, disloyal at worst. This is a mistake, and it makes Canada more vulnerable, not less. Diversifying trade is prudent. Doing it while publicly antagonizing our largest trading partner is something else entirely. This is not realism, it is performance, and it echoes a pattern Canadians have seen before. This is why Carney's behavior this week is so concerning. It suggests that we are back where Trudeau left us, political leaders scoring anti-American points for partisan gain at the country's enormous detriment. That is what Carney is doing here. It goes on to say, defending Canada's sovereignty cannot be done through speeches to friendly audiences overseas. It must be built through capacity, an economy that works, infrastructure that actually gets built and institutions that can make decisions and follow through. Here, Canada continues to fall short. This is very well said. And this is what's happening. Mark Carney just wants to get a majority net zero agenda, boost his Stripe shares, boost his carried interest in Brookfield, become a multi-billionaire, and leave Canada in crumbles, and he does not care.